If you are ready to awaken to the truth of who you really are, to activate the power within you, to become the creator of your reality and live a highly conscious life, then you are in the right place. This week on Aleckson TV, we are talking about retraining your brain. So if you're someone who is quick to anger or lives in a lot of worry and fear and anxiety, you'll want to watch this one. I'm Aleckson. I am the soul speaker, giving a voice to the power within you so that you can become the fully empowered creator of your reality and live a highly conscious life. Let's talk about retraining your brain. I'm sure by now you've heard about the field of science that is to do with the neuroplasticity of the brain. In other words, the fact that your brain can be moulded and can be changed. I'm going to share with you a process that I call the ABC brain retrain process. This is a process that I use with my clients and share with my clients, particularly if those clients are ones who are warriors or have anxiety. And also it is really super great to use if you're quick to anger. So if you're someone that gets triggered by other people saying and doing things, or perhaps triggered by what's going on in the outside world, particularly at this point in time with war and all the fear that's being stirred up around that, and if you're having issues with those sorts of things and coping with them, I'd really love to share this process with you. It is quick, it is simple, but it does work. It's worked with hundreds of my clients. And when I first started doing it, I was curious about where this had come from, this knowledge to know to do this. And so I started looking at brain retraining and started looking at the research around the science of neuroplasticity. And then I happened into a field that is now called neuropsychology. And it's here where they're really working on teaching each of us to change our brain into helpful ways of behaving and into removing addictions so that we can start living the life that we came here to live. Now, let me share that process with you. First of all, I'm going to assume that you're an aware person. You have self-awareness, or you have that part of you that pops out and looks at the behaviour that you're currently exhibiting and kind of you become aware of how you're behaving and why you're behaving it. If you've been on the road less travelled, this path of self-development, spiritual development, then I know that you are very self-aware. So it's ABC, and it is ABC for a very specific reason. First of all, A, for awareness. Be aware that you're about to be triggered, or be aware that you have been triggered. And then in the moment of noticing that you have been triggered and you're about to react in a way that is no longer helpful to you and in a way that you no longer wish to behave, the next thing to do is B, which is breathe. Now there's a very specific way of breathing for this. You breathe in through your nose to the count of 4, and then you breathe out through your mouth to the count of 8, as if you're blowing out candles on a birthday cake in front of you. We all know how to do that, don't we? So you breathe into the count of 4, out to the count of 8, as if you're blowing out birthday candles. And you do that 3 times. As soon as you've finished doing that, we move into C, which is, for these purposes, chant. Now I call it chant, but it could be what you consider to be an affirmation or just a positive, supportive sentence that you like. I'll give you some examples. The very best one, of course, is to say to yourself, it's all right, I'm safe right now, nothing is going wrong. It's all right, I'm safe right now, nothing is going wrong. Now that's a good one for the worry warts and for the people who have anxiety. If you have anger, you might want to say something like, there's nothing going wrong outside of me, and inside of me I am peace and calm. It's peaceful and calm inside me. There's nothing going wrong. There's any number of chants that you could choose, or affirmations, and I know in this day and age that you have a number of them. If you don't, please just ask any of your teachers. Certainly you can put a question on the AnnAlecksonTV.com page where you're watching this video. When this first came to me while I was working with clients, the way that it showed itself to me was this way, and this might make it easier for you to understand. It certainly did for me. So when you get triggered by something outside of you, and when you start to notice that you're feeling something, what happens is your inner child is triggered. And then that inner child starts to walk up here and sit on your shoulder and start talking in your ear all of those horrible things about you that are on a loop in your brain sometimes. You know what I'm talking about. And it says, stop it, you can't do it. Who are you to think you could do this? You're not good enough. You've never been good enough. You've made mistakes before. Just don't move another step. Stop. And so you obey that because that's your habitual, the neuron fires and you do what you've always done. Now, what we're doing with this ABC process is we're becoming aware that the inner child is waking up and about to react. As the inner child starts walking up here, we effectively block it by the breathing process. And then as soon as we finish the breathing process, we have the inner child come up here and speak the more positive and helpful words into our ear, effectively overriding the old loop. It will eventually override that loop without you having to try. But for the moment, you have to make an effort to say the chant. What we're doing is we're stopping the neuron that used to fire, we're building and firing off a new neuron so that you can start behaving in a different way, in a way that will be more helpful to you as you walk this road less travelled. So that's it, nice and easy. Make sure you go to AnnAlecksonTV.com where you can pick up a wallet card with that process on it to take wherever you go with you. You'll also find the journal page for this episode. Now today I've touched very briefly on inner personalities, that inner child. Next week I'm going to talk to you more about your inner personalities, all of the inner personalities that have been leading you through your life. And if you're not happy with where your life is, then you are being led by unhelpful inner personalities. I'm going to tell you how to stop allowing that to happen and to start working with your helpful inner personalities. And I'll tell you all about those in the next episode of Ann Aleckson TV.